It's Tuesday, October 18th. Welcome to the Morning Report. I'm Tisha Hines. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley will be leading a Barbados delegation to a trade, investment and tourism forum early next month in Rwanda. This mission is expected to help further develop the relationship between Barbados and that nation, building on the agreement signed in April of 2022 during the visit to Barbados by the President of Rwanda. The forum, slated for November 8th and 9th, will form part of an exploratory business mission to Rwanda from November 5th to 12th and is expected to attract around 150 participants from the public and private sectors of both countries. Other partnering stakeholders include Export Barbados and the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc. Through the forum, the Barbados business community will be introduced to investment, trade and tourism opportunities that currently exist in Rwanda. The mission and two-day forum comes on the heels of the inaugural Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum 2022, hosted by the Government of Barbados and the African Export-Import Bank last month. Cardiovascular diseases have been identified as the major causes of morbidity and mortality in Barbados, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness will be looking at aggressive ways to reduce the sugar and salt contents of foods on the island. CBC's Shane Jones reports on yesterday's workshop at the Hilton Hotel that was aimed at creating strategies.
Many of the island's top health officials, including Chief Medical Officer Dr. the Most Honorable Kenneth George, were on hand for the opening ceremony of the two-day workshop at Needham's Point. The workshop will seek to raise awareness of the impact of salt and sugar on health, engage stakeholders to secure a gradual and sustained reduction of salt and sugar, promote a comprehensive policy approach to facilitate dietary changes, and engage the relevant parties to focus on stocking low salt and sugar options on branded processed foods. Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Sonia Brown, said non-communicable diseases are the leading causes of preventable morbidity, related disability, and premature death in Barbados.
There are four groups of these diseases. Cardiovascular diseases, which include, among others, hypertension, heart attack, strokes, peripheral vascular diseases. Cancers, breast, prostate, colon, cervical being the main causes of cancer in our public health setting. Chronic respiratory diseases, example asthma, and chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, and diabetes mellitus. And these have four common risk factors: tobacco use, harmful use of alcohol, physical inactivity, and unhealthy diets.
Regarding front-of-package labeling, which is essentially a warning label used to assist customers in making healthier choices, Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Business Development, Sandra Husbands, said it's urgently needed.
So we must therefore work with stakeholders who manufacture products as well as importers of goods to transition smoothly to use and comply with front-of-package labeling. Too many companies are playing the short game by resisting the change to the labeling. Because to kill your customers in the long term really is not good business.
PAHO WHO representative to Barbados in the Eastern Caribbean, Dr. Amalia Del Riego, says NCDs are devastating the region.
There are an estimated 200 million people out of 1 billion in the Americas who are living with NCDs. In the Caribbean, 3 out of 4 people die from NCDs. Close to 40% of those deaths are premature. That means in the age group from 30 to 70 years old. The trend in Barbados is like the rest of the Caribbean, where NCDs are the leading causes of death. It is very clear with these figures that NCDs are overwhelming health services and challenging their sustainability in Caribbean countries while impeding progress toward universal health.
That workshop ends today. It's 6 minutes after 6 o'clock, coming up on the CBC Morning Report, the latest on yesterday's strike action at the SSA. And we'll also give you an update on the war in Ukraine. Stay with us.
Come on, you family make some noise. Are you ready?
Q in the Community is on every Thursday in a community near you.
Q in the Community is well and alive.
Come on down and, have a line with all of me. The more mature folk come to dance, to sing.
Keep the bones smooth.
Q in the Community is your place to meet friends, to socialize, and just to be you.
Yes, come on down and take in the karaoke.
Whether you're coming from north, south, east, or west, we have a bus for you.
Q in the Community.
Stay tuned to Q100.7 FM to find out where we will be next, and follow us on Facebook.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up.
Morning Barbados will be coming to your parish live every Friday until November. Stay tuned for
Management of the Sanitation Services Authority has deemed yesterday's work stoppage a wildcat strike. Operations Manager Michael Nichols at the head office at Wilde says workers refuse to take up their assignments at various levels. The National Union of Public Workers responded to the situation, with General Secretary Richard Green informing CBC News they realized that there was indeed a transfer and the removal of an appliance. He told CBC some of the other unresolved matters are hazard pay, washing allowance, salary increases, uniforms, appointments, care of duty, and processing of leave. He says the NUPW has engaged management on how the issues will be resolved.
Workers had also taken the opportunity to raise their concern with the speed and the time that it was taking to resolve a number of other outstanding matters plaguing the institution for some time. It is intended that the NUPW would have advised the workers of the process that they were following to have the matters resolved, and had advised them to go back to work, allowing the union the time to resolve those matters with the management of the Sanitation Service Authority.
The strike this morning was wildcat in nature, and based on information shared by the worker representative, was triggered by the transfer of an employee and the disconnection of a prohibited stove. All approved amenities such as microwave and refrigerator remain available. This is very disappointing in that recently the worker representative met with the chairman and management on a number of real matters that they had raised in a letter of June, to an agreement coming out of that meeting as to which issues were supported and advanced.
As we look further afield, a Ukraine official has accused Iran of responsibility for the murders of Ukrainians after Russia attacked cities with what Kiev called kamikaze drones made in the Islamic Republic and allegedly sold to Moscow. Ukraine has reported a barrage of Russian air attacks using Iranian-made Shahed 136 drones in recent weeks.
The strikes on Ukraine's capital started early. On the ground, people felt the explosions. In the sky, they could see the attackers. One so-called kamikaze drone approaches its target as Kyiv's air defense systems attempt to shoot it down. Rescue teams were quick to arrive in the Shevchenkivsky district. Firefighters hosing down smoked ruins as people who'd taken shelter emerged from underground.
The target destroyed the whole infrastructure of Ukraine, destroyed the infrastructure of our hometown. They left people freezing in the winter, less people do it without electricity. The Russians want to make the humanitarian catastrophe in our hometown, and also at the same time destroy the buildings.
People's homes were destroyed.
Behind me is the residential building that was damaged in the drone attack this morning. Now, this neighborhood also has important infrastructure sites in it and was hit by Russian missiles last week. Air raid sirens may have stopped sounding, but local officials say residents should still avoid the area for now.
Many injured people, like this woman, were rescued. But others, including a pregnant woman and her husband, were killed.
We were in the room when the blast started. We then go out and see the staircases gone, all gone to the ground floor. We waited for alarm to be called off. We were laying on the floor. Firefighters came and they used a ladder to rescue us, one by one. We then ran to the shelter in that building. It was horrible.
Many here worry about how quickly they can reach safety.
There is no shelter around, the closest in a 10 minutes run from here. We decided to stay home. You might be running on the street and the particles would hurt you.
Then, as if on cue, the air raid sirens ring out again.
All of us should probably go to the shelter because this is their target.
People's constant concern now, if and when this area may be targeted again.
Meanwhile, there's an interesting development as there are Chechens who are fighting for Ukraine and also for Russia.
In the rolling hills of the Kyiv region, a makeshift shooting range breaks the silence. New recruits for the Dudayev Battalion, one of the Chechen volunteer groups fighting alongside Ukraine. Glock arrived in the country just 2 weeks ago. He won't tell us from where for security reasons.
It's important for me because we have a common enemy. Our people suffer greatly because of the Russians, just like the Ukrainians are now.
The battalion is named after Johar Dudayev, a Chechen leader who fought for independence from Russia. Their mission falls under the orders of the Ukrainian army, but they're not formally under its national command. When the Russians retreated from the Kharkiv region in the northeast of the country, they left behind a considerable amount of military hardware and weapons. That heavy machine gun is one of them, and now they're training on it. Units of the battalion were among the first to enter the strategic city of Izium when the Russians were forced to retreat. They also took part in the fight north of Kyiv, battles that put them against fellow Chechens loyal to Ramzan Kadyrov, the Chechen leader who publicly supports Moscow. His fighters also took part in the siege of Mariupol when the Russians captured the port city.
Ukraine is a closed matter. I wonder about Poland. Poland, what are they trying to achieve? After Ukraine, if the order is given, we will show you in 6 seconds what we're capable of.
Kadyrov has recently criticized Russia's military strategy in Ukraine, but has also pledged tens of thousands of men as part of Moscow's mobilization efforts.
That Russia is terrible for small nation because now they're using us as a cannon meat. We always said for Chechenian people who are sending by Russian here, we tell them that we are ready, guys, to get you if you decide to hands up. You don't have to fight. We're not asking them to come Ukraine and fight for Ukraine, but we ask them not fight against Ukraine.
Many of the commanders here are veterans of the two Chechen wars that reduced the capital Grozny to what the UN called the most destroyed city on earth.
There's no freedom, no jobs. Young people have no other choice but to join the police or armed forces. Nothing is produced. Before we used to have refineries, but they stopped everything. The oils go to Russia.
The divisions among Chechens fighting in Ukraine are somehow a war within a war. For these men, the ultimate goal is the creation of the Chechen Republic of Ishkeria, independent from Moscow's sphere of influence.
We'll have more news on the CBC Morning Report after this break.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up.
Morning Barbados will be coming to your parish live every Friday until November. Stay tuned from 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. to see which parish we're in. Join us for it all.
Good morning, morning Barbados, good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up, morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Classes at the Springer Memorial Secondary School will resume this morning after they were cut short yesterday. Well, traces of smoke as well as an obnoxious odor were detected at the Government Hill institution, and fire officials from the Bridgetown Fire Service, led by Station Officer Roger Bourne, arrived at the school around 20 minutes after 11 to investigate. A search of the building revealed that a tree on an adjacent property had caught fire, which was quickly extended.
I then carried out a thorough investigation, which took me a little while, going from property to property to figure out which property it was. On arrival at this property, it was closed at the time, but then I went to the adjacent property and recognized that it was a tree fire, and the tree fire was still going. I then reached out to our dispatch department and asked them to send on the water appliance from Bridgetown Fire Station, which they did, and managed to extinguish the tree fire.
Government's annual energy bill is $600 million. Word of this from Minister of State in the Ministry of Energy and Business, Sandra Husbands, at the unveiling of a 20-year time capsule at Courtesy Garage. Calling the occasion a milestone for the company, the minister says her ministry is continuing to deepen its collaboration with other ministries, government agencies and the private sector to address usage and consumption of fossil fuel to ensure Barbados' 2030 vision is realized.
Conversion from fossil fuel use to electricity, transportation management, clean energy use, and emissions control within the transportation sector. This in turn will result in a sector that includes but is not limited to the operation of a greater percentage of electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles in the local fleet, utilization of a skilled workforce to provide effective maintenance on electric vehicles, a greater number of renewable energy systems installed that can be used as charging stations for electric vehicles, carports and charging stations, and the reduction of duties on the importation of electric vehicles.
The minister called for support for the industry as the initiatives of the energy policy will generate jobs in the sector.
The critical component will be the training of a cadre of technicians to install, operate and maintain these new green transportation technologies. Consequently, much will be required to establish suitable infrastructure for increased use of electric vehicles and other vehicles powered by alternative fuels.
Barbados is included among 4 Caribbean nations taking part in a pilot project examining the benefits of insect farming. The insects are being looked at as a future source of valuable animal feed in the Caribbean. Sub-Regional Director for the Caribbean of the Food and Agricultural Organization, Dr. Renata Clark, says the project will be conducted jointly with the University of the West Indies Faculty of Agriculture in Trinidad and Tobago.
The project starts in the last quarter, where the initial work will be done in Trinidad with the University of the West Indies to be establishing the insect rearing station at the Faculty of Agriculture. And that once that is done, it is next year that the insect larvae will be transferred to the other participating countries and insect rearing units established. So if all goes well, that should certainly be the first half of next year.
The head of the United Nations has called for armed action in Haiti, warning that residents face a nightmarish situation, especially in the capital, Port-au-Prince. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres believes such action is necessary to ease the grip of gangs and what they're having on the port that is critical to allowing fuel supplies into that country.
Certainly there are efforts to do something. The Security Council hasn't actually agreed on sanctions anywhere in the world since 2017 because the Security Council on so many issues is so divided. Well, they've come up now, the Mexicans and the US, with a draft resolution on sanctions to sanction some of the gang leaders. That was presented to members of the Security Council. I can tell you that many have some reservations about the current text, and there'll be further work done on that in the coming days. Although the Mexican ambassador told me a short time ago he was hoping that that sanctions resolution could be put to a vote before the end of the week. But there's another, in many ways, more important thing that is being suggested, and this follows the recommendation from the UN Secretary General, and that's to set up a strike force of international military and police to try and get the fuel depot, the road to the fuel depot open and try and break the control of the gangs. We know that there is a resolution in the works on that. We know the US are thinking about a resolution. What is not clear is which countries would supply any troops for this force. I'm told by diplomats from a number of countries that Canada and the US are probably receptive, but when you officially approach either the Canadians or the US, they say nothing on this matter. And in fact, I just tried to ask a question about whether US troops were going to Haiti to the US ambassador, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, and she said absolutely nothing and ignored my question as she walked into the Security Council. But I think one thing will be very sobering for the Security Council, and that's what's happening as they are meeting right now in New York, what's happening on the streets of Port-au-Prince, because in the Haitian capital there are protests taking place right now, angry protests that in places have been dispersed by tear gas. Now the protesters there are saying they do not want international forces back in Haiti. In fact, at one point the protesters had a coffin that they were carrying, and it made clear that the coffin represented Canadian, US or French troops if they were going to be sent to Haiti.
As we head south, we hear news that Guyana is looking to develop an eye bank in that country. Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, says it will complement corneal transplants and other eye surgeries performed at the Georgetown Public Hospital.
We have right now in the works the development of an eye bank where we'll be able to produce our own corneas so that the persons who would need them can get them from patients that we have locally. Our donors that would have donated a cornea locally.
British Chancellor of the Exchequer Jeremy Hunt has reversed most of an economic package announced by the government just weeks ago, saying the country needed to rebuild investor confidence. Hunt was appointed on Friday after Prime Minister Liz Truss fired Kwasi Kwarteng, who spent less than 6 weeks in the Treasury job.
She's fighting for her political survival, but Liz Truss wasn't in Parliament on Monday as the opposition was granted an urgent question.
To ask the Prime Minister to make a statement on the replacement of the Chancellor of the Exchequer during the current economic situation.
Mr. Speaker, with apologies to the Leader of the Opposition and the House, the PM is detained on urgent business.
Hiding away, dodging questions, scared of her own shadow. The lady's not for turning up.
Truss was there later on to hear her new finance minister give more detail on a huge change in direction.
The Prime Minister and I agreed yesterday to reverse almost all the tax measures announced in the growth plan 3 weeks ago that have not been legislated for in Parliament. So I've decided that the basic rate of income tax will remain at 20%, and it will do so indefinitely until economic circumstances allow for it to be cut. Taken together with the decision not to cut corporation tax and restoring the top rate of income tax, the measures I've announced today will raise around £32 billion every year.
Hunt's also announced the government's move to cap energy bills will only last 6 months instead of 2 years, with a review next April. This leaves a Prime Minister clinging on to the job she only took up last month. After weeks of negative reaction to her mini-budget, with mortgage rate rises for millions of people, she may have bought herself some time.
Markets like what they're hearing. Whether or not this is good for the economy in the next 3 to 6 months, well, the jury's out on that.
Liz Truss fired her Finance Minister Kwasi Kwarteng last Friday, and their joint project, chasing growth via tax cuts funded by massive borrowing, has effectively been ditched.
Behind the scenes in Westminster, many Conservative politicians are rushing to find a unity figure to replace Liz Truss and revive the party's standing with the public. But it's far from clear whether they can avoid further turmoil or, in fact, an early general election.
The death toll from floods in Nigeria this year has increased to 603 as authorities there race to provide relief to hundreds of thousands of people being evacuated from their submerged homes. In sports, West Indies head coach Phil Simmons has been critical of his side for their batting effort in yesterday's ICC World Cup Group B defeat to Scotland. The Windies, ranked 7th in the world, had gone into the game as overwhelming favourites against Scottish side that sits 15th. Their defeat, the day after Sri Lanka were resoundingly beaten by another associate nation in Namibia, means the tournament has sprung into life with shocks on its first 2 days and leaves the top-ranked teams in both first-round groups fighting for their survival.
I think it's just too many soft dismissal. I think as batsmen you have to pay a lot more attention to your wicket, and I think every time we play we're up there with the run rate. Doesn't matter who we're playing against, but we keep losing wickets and soft wickets. So I think we've been trying to remedy it for the last couple of months. Doesn't seem like it's there yet.
Simmons denied that changes made to the batting order was a key reason for the team's struggles.
I don't think so. I think it's a case where this game, people need to be able to go up to make a difference. You go up, sometimes a batsman goes up and he has to propel his side with 10 balls, 15 or 10 balls, 20. And, so guys have to bat in different positions. Today there was no real different positions. I think guys are batting where they are strong. We talk about looking at data and looking at different things. Guys are batting where they're strong, so I don't think that would be used as an excuse today.
And time to take a look at what's happening weather-wise right here in Barbados and across the Eastern Caribbean. It's 26.7 degrees Celsius, but it feels like 31 degrees outside, so make sure you have your sunblock. Humidity 84%. Barometric pressure stands at 1011.1 millibars. The winds are blowing out of the east at 22 kilometers per hour. One low tide today, the second 4:35 this afternoon, and one high tide at 10:25 this evening. In terms of conditions, smooth to moderate in open water, with swells peaking at 1.5 meters and increasing. It's going to be a mix of sunshine and clouds with occasional scattered light showers and a few isolated moderate showers mainly over western districts. In the evening, a mix of clear skies and clouds with occasional brief scattered showers. Light to moderate showers are expected. Here's a look at what's happening weather-wise in a few international cities. That's it for today's morning report. We'll have more news for you during our 12 o'clock newscast. Join us then. Morning Barbados is coming up next.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning.
Good morning to you indeed. So good to have you on this Tuesday, October 18th. Welcome to another edition of Morning Barbados. I trust you had a great evening and you're ready for the day ahead. If you're not ready as yet, we are going to get you there. We have some great people coming through, some wonderful discussion that you don't want to miss, and everything you need to make you ready for the day and the rest of the week. We're going to share with you a tribute to Bobby Clark that was done by Rhythm Tribe. Very interesting stuff, and those ladies continue to do amazing work. We will share that with you. Plus, Sharita Odell is in as we talk real estate. How to avoid being ripped off by a contractor. I know you definitely want to stay tuned for that, because she has some interesting points to make and some things that we often don't even think about. Our fitness instructor, Thornwood, is in the house today again. And last time he was here, he talked about a dance challenge. This time around, we're talking how you can keep that body fit going forward and looking toward Christmas. You know, at Christmas time is always very, very interesting because we tend to eat a little bit more than we usually do. So we want to make sure that we are ready for Christmas. But then the new year comes and everybody wants to look amazing. You have all these New Year's resolutions. So we're going to work through all of that. Dr. Gillian Birchwood is in, and we are talking all about eating disorders, something we don't often talk about. So it will be very interesting. Now, if you have any questions, you can send them to morningbarbados@cbc.bb, because I'm sure you have questions, comments, or if there's anything you'd like to see, we love to see you sharing with us online. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and a special good morning to those of you watching on YouTube. Good morning to my friends watching on CBC TV8 and MCTV channel 108. But we get started this morning telling you all about the Barbados Trust loans. That's right. We've been telling you for the last few weeks about all the wonderful things that they are doing for entrepreneurs, and we're going to be sharing about small businesses and how they have been able to grow their business with help from the Barbados Trust loans. But let's get right into that discussion that we told you all about with Dr. Gillian Birchwood. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Nice to see you this morning and have a chat with you today.
Always great to see you as well. So today we're talking about something very, very important. And there are a lot of buzzwords these days that I think put a lot of us on the back foot. These days we're hearing a lot about fat shaming and things like that. So it's almost like you can't even say to your children or your colleagues, oh, you know, Barbadians are accustomed to hearing that. I mean, every day people tell me, what are you getting so fat? You put on weight and this and that. So let's start at the beginning. What's the eating disorder, and how do you know that it is time to seek help or you have a challenge?
Well, and you are so right. Nowadays, there is so much about fat shaming, and sometimes it is hidden behind you need to be more healthy. But the message really would be something about your weight. So it is very important to know that sometimes these things can have quite significant impact in some people. But an eating disorder is where someone has an abnormal relationship with food, whether it is they're consuming too much food, too little food, or if they're avoiding certain foods. And they can be very, very tricky to diagnose, and they can remain hidden in plain sight. They most commonly affect adolescents, but it can affect children of all ages. And in the Caribbean, we tend to think of it as a disease that you see in countries in Europe and North America, but that really is not. For sure, you can see it, and we have seen it in the Caribbean, and it tends to affect girls more than boys, but it can be very, very tricky to spot and diagnose, for sure.
Not eating certain foods, like you mentioned, that can be very tricky, because these days we're hearing all about these different types of diets that are often pushed to young people on social media, which is where they live. So
Yes.
the keto diet and the cutting of this or that or the other. So what are some of these foods that they could be missing out that we need to look out for?
Well, there are different types of eating disorders. The most common one is anorexia nervosa. You know, that's the one that everybody would have heard about, that everybody knows something about or has read about. With anorexia nervosa, the person who has it will really be just about any food that they can be restrict. So with anorexia nervosa, the person who has it has an altered and abnormal body image. So they will look at themselves in the mirror, even if they have perfectly normal weight, and be convinced that they are extremely overweight. And as a result of that, they will curb all their foods and they will have very, very limited intake. So with anorexia nervosa, it isn't specifically about an individual food, although one of the disorders can be about specific foods. With anorexia nervosa, it is all about an extreme desire to control the body weight. And then you can, in extreme cases, have very severe and obvious weight loss. Although it's really important to be clear that you don't always have obvious thinness with a condition, anorexia nervosa. But coming back to what you were about, you can see there on the screen, we're talking about anorexia nervosa. They have an intense fear of gaining weight and of being fat, and it can masquerade very nicely as being healthy. I want to be more healthy, so instead of these chips, I'm going to have apple slices. Become quite obsessed with the foods that they take in. And as a parent, you might think, oh, this is great. But then you may realize it is beyond. And because it often affects adolescents, always share all of their internal thoughts with you, and you may not realize just how severe this disorder is. And by the time you notice that you have a very low body weight, you've already lost, a lot of time because it's been probably going on for some time. So that's one type of eating disorder. You also are talking about foods that may be avoided. There's a disorder called avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. And with that disorder, for some reason, the child or the adolescent will refuse certain foods. They don't like the texture, they don't like the color, they don't like the taste. And so it isn't for them about losing weight, but they will avoid sometimes a wide range of foods. And that can result in weight loss and poor nutrition. So it isn't really specifically about trying to lose weight as you can have in anorexia, but you can certainly end up with weight loss and major nutritional problems with that particular eating disorder.
Wow, definitely those are some of the popular ones, but I know there are definitely other types of feeding disorders that we can get into for young people and adolescents.
Yes. So another type of disorder that is also known, but perhaps not quite as well recognized, is bulimia. And bulimia is different from anorexia because with bulimia, the person will binge eat. They will eat excessively. And often the person who does this will do it in secret. So as a parent, you may simply not be aware. So after eating a huge amount, they will then purge, as in they will make themselves vomit, or sometimes they will engage in excessive exercise. So if you see a child who has a habit of excessive exercise, sometimes they're doing that to compensate for the fact that they've eaten excessively. And you have these cycles of binging and purging and binging and purging. And these children usually have normal weight, or they may be a little bit overweight. So people do not understand they may actually have an eating disorder. But you may have a hint because of all that vomiting that they may do. You may see that their teeth may start to look abnormal. You may find, again, that habit of excessive exercise. They may not want to necessarily with the rest of the family. And their hair, and this can happen in anorexia as well, can become dry and brittle and fall out. So it's really important to pay attention to your children's eating habits, although a lot of it can be hidden underground and you won't even be aware as a parent.
I know there's a lot of pressure, most certainly online with young people, peer pressure, as there's always been. But the pressure to look a certain way has changed with the advent of the internet. Outside of that, what are some of the other reasons that young people or young adolescents would develop eating disorders?
I think it's so important that you raise the point about peer pressure. You know, there's that pressure online for everybody to look like Kim Kardashian or, you know, famous celebrity influencers. But it isn't realistic for most people. And the reason for that is because even those celebrity influencers are very heavily altered, either surgically or their image is altered online. And so it presents a very unrealistic image that they themselves actually don't have for our young people who will often try to attain that particular look. But for children with eating disorders, some of the eating disorders, it is felt that there's an underlying need to control things, that they're trying to cope with really big emotions that are challenging, and they are not able to cope with those emotions. Sometimes people who have eating disorders may be very perfectionist, trying to make sure that they have everything under control. And because it's impossible to control every aspect of their lives, there is a theory that some people will have eating disorders as a way of coping with that. In addition, many eating disorders will go along with other problems like anxiety and depression. So unfortunately, they don't often go on their own. They may be associated with other conditions. But I'm sure that, as you mentioned, the whole impact of social media has not made things easy for our children. It's not something that we had to deal with when we were children. They have a lot more to face than we did.
Let's talk about the impact on the body, the impact these eating disorders could have on young people, their performance in school or otherwise, and most certainly just being healthy.
Yes, you are so right. These eating disorders can certainly have an impact on the health of the child. It can affect their heart. It can affect their bones, because if they're not taking the right amount of nutrients, then the bone health can suffer. And so you can end up with fractures in some of the eating disorders because their bones are leached out of all the nutrients like calcium that are in there. It can affect the teeth, as we mentioned earlier, because if there's vomiting, then the teeth, the enamel from the teeth, they can have severely impacted teeth. Overall, their social functioning and their functioning in school can go down. If you have an eating disorder, you don't want to be in a social environment. And in our countries, you know, a lot of social functioning revolves around it. So you might find that that teen may withdraw socially. But also at school, because children with eating disorders can experience excessive fatigue, you might see their school functioning declining, their sports activity suffering, because their body is just no longer able to cope because of the way that they're being impacted by the lack of calories or the altered nutrients that are going into their bodies. So it can have a significant, major, lifelong impact in some cases.
Dr. Bertrand, let's talk warning signs. What we need to look out for as parents and peers, and what we can do if we do in fact see signs that are worrisome.
You know, eating disorders are so tricky because they can really be hidden. And as I said, because children's weight is most of the time actually normal, except in extreme cases, you will find that it may be very difficult for even parents to recognize. So if you find that your teen has suddenly become extremely obsessed with being healthy, it isn't necessarily a good thing, because they may take that to the extreme, and you might find that their eating patterns change a lot. So if you notice, you know, they're obsessed with calorie intake, they're counting their carbs, they're getting really obsessed with it, that might be a sign that they have an eating disorder. Another one is avoiding group meals, like family meals, although often, you know, dinner time is often the time when families might eat together, and that is often the last meal that's affected in eating disorders. They will tend to have abnormal eating at other times of the day. If you notice, again, that your child is becoming socially withdrawn, they're tired all the time, they're not able to cope with normal activities, again, these signs may be related to other things. So it's really not necessarily easy to say this is an eating disorder. But if you notice a change in any of these things, it could be an eating disorder. And it's really important to make sure that you take your child to the doctor discuss your concerns as well with the child. And sometimes they will be able to admit to you, I think, yes, I am obsessed with eating and so on, and with what I eat, although they themselves usually don't recognize that they have a problem. So it's really about vigilance. It's difficult to make that diagnosis in most cases.
Dr. Birchwood, all well and good on paper, but then how do you approach, especially your teenagers? Especially if a teenager, I mean, it can be so dicey. If a teenager says to you, I want to be healthier, I want to eat better, and all of a sudden it seems as though you're being a little bit wary of that, that can be a little counterproductive.
Yes, it's all about balance. So, although when children get older, a lot of times they don't go for checkups at their doctor. This is where it may be noticed that your child has not grown in the way that they should. So there's nothing wrong with being healthy if your child has grown appropriately. So if you're not sure, get your child checked and see if they're growing appropriately. Adolescents grow quietly during that period of time, and you should certainly notice a significant increase in their height and weight. So if you have a child who's being very healthy, inverted commas, and not growing normally, that really may be a big red flag. And sometimes children are in denial, and you might have to say to them, okay, I'll check you back in a week or two, and let's see if you've gained any weight, because I noticed that you haven't gained weight in the way that you should. Let's see if you eat normally now and you're not quite as healthy. Let's see if you started to put on healthy weight. And a child who is not having an eating disorder should be able to accomplish that. A child who does have an eating disorder will struggle with the idea of putting on weight. Although, again, it depends on the type of eating disorder. Something like binge eating, they may put on weight because they don't try to purge calories. But, checking in to see that the growth is following their normal pattern and trajectory can really give you insight as to whether what you have is a child who has a problem, as opposed to one who's just really becoming more conscious and aware of how they should be eating. So there's a big difference in terms of how their growth should, if they have an eating disorder.
When we continue this discussion on another show, we definitely have to look at how cultural influences can impact our children as well, because a lot of us grew up hearing, eat all of that or don't move. So we're going to talk about that next time you are on. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. You have a great day. Morning, Barbados.
Good morning, Dr. Birchwood. And good morning to you. The time is moving swiftly. 12 minutes now before 7 o'clock. We're going to take a break and come back with more on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for our new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
When disaster threatens, it is comforting to know there's a team working to deliver credible, comprehensive, and up-to-date information. A team that is committed to serving you. A team that will be there before, during, and after the disaster. That is Team CBC, here for you this hurricane season.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. To you.
Good morning to you, especially if you're watching us in bed. You are lucky, lucky, lucky. It's 10 minutes now before 7 o'clock on Morning Barbados. We promised you we were going to be highlighting some young entrepreneurs and some businesses, small businesses that have benefited from partnering with the Barbados Trust Loan. So let's welcome Brianna Williams, owner of Sulet Collections, Nicole Ford, who is Business Development Consultant with the Barbados Trust Fund Limited, and Kirk Doughton, Business Development Manager with the Barbados Trust Fund Limited. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good to have all of you with us. Most of you look awake. I won't say who doesn't look awake. Of course, I'm hitting at one person who went to school with me. So good morning, especially to that person who shall not be identified, but is the only male on the panel. Who knows? All right, so let's start with you, Kirk, just because you're the only guy with us. Talk to us about all the work that you've been doing so far with the Barbados Trust loans.
Hey, good morning, everyone. We've been doing a lot of work out from within the trust fund, and this morning we're here to talk about, particularly Nicole, she's here to talk about a project that we've been working on for the past couple of months in terms of trying to really upscale the products of our clients to put them in a position for any opportunity that may pop up, whether in the local, regional, or international market. So we've been doing a lot of work, and I can tell persons out there that the entrepreneurial spirit is really alive in Barbados, and especially amongst our young people. And that is the drive now, really to sensitize our young people as to really seek to pursue entrepreneurship as an alternative to the traditional opportunities up there. So indeed, we've been doing a lot of work, and I just want to encourage the public really to come out and support the initiatives, particularly the showcases that we are about to do and the farmers markets. And we are going to be doing some showcases in places like ShopSmart, particularly with some aspects of the portfolio, the manufacturing portfolio. So I won't really go any further. I leave some of the other stuff for Nicole to really comment on.
Nicole, he kind of laid the groundwork for you. So tell us about these initiatives that will be coming up.
So we have a very exciting initiative that is actually being launched this Friday. It's called ManuFest, and it is a manufacturing incubator. For the next 6 weeks, the Barbados Trust Fund Limited is going to be working with a maximum of 105 entrepreneurs to see their businesses move through a series of activities to develop them from strength to strength. What is going to happen is that we are working with them to develop themselves. We're working with them to develop their products. We're working with them to develop their overall businesses. So we're going to be starting with some training. Training is going to go through things like costing and pricing, where we are sure that entrepreneurs, we're making sure that they put in all of those inputs. They know exactly all of the overheads. They're including the utilities in those prices. They're including every input that needs to go into the price. They're also working on social media management. We're working on those presentation skills for entrepreneurs. We are also going to be working on their networking skills. So we're giving them core abilities that should increase their capacity, that should improve the way that they work, sell, and grow.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a lot of stuff as well, because with these small businesses, they have to be literally, oftentimes, all things to all things. So a little bit of HR, a little bit of finance, a little bit of sales. Let's go to you now, Brianna, owner of Sulit Collections. I hope I said it right. Tell me about your business, first of all, and how you are faring as a young, small entrepreneur.
Good morning. First of all, my business is Sulit Collections. It came about in 2020. Well, not really 2020. I had the idea back in 2016, but I did not really run with it. I didn't, it was just in the back burner. COVID came and I needed something to do. I needed, another set of income. And that's when I came up with the idea of starting and, doing leather work, such as making leather sandals. I mainly do it for women now, but I'm looking forward to branching off to making men as well. I am now doing sandals and belts. So, yeah, it has been going pretty good. It has its ups and downs, as any small businesses would expect. But it has been pretty good. I am not complaining. I've had great customers and still have wonderful customers with me until this day. So I am really proud of my business so far.
Well, let me tell you, those pieces look absolutely fantastic. Look very, very
Thank
nice.
you.
And, the ladies love to show off their toes. especially, the pedicures and this and that and the other. So I'm sure showing them off today will definitely get them out there a little bit more. Kirk, one thing that sticks with me over the last, that stays with me, because I've spoken with so many of the entrepreneurs who work with the Barbados Trust Loans, a lot of them have said COVID was kind of like a turning point. So tell me about how that was a turning point for you as well.
Well, COVID was something else. And thankfully, the team led by our general manager, Gerald Amos, we were in a position to come together and really rally to really get behind in terms of the portfolio. We would have had a survey, we would have developed a survey, whereas we tried to reach every client. And whereas we would have tried to reach every client on the portfolio, whereas it was all hands on deck. So you had business development from my end, you had a credit department, you had some from the recoveries department, and admin really trying to get the necessary information to find out how COVID would have impacted some of the businesses. And based upon that information, we were in a better position to have an idea of some of the businesses because we have a very wide portfolio. And during COVID, there was difficulty in terms of getting a very telephone contact, or moving around was limited. So we had to really rely on the telephone, and then some persons' numbers were out of order. But coming up with that survey, as I said, we were able to identify some of the businesses that were closed and heavily impacted. And I can really put it on a macro level, whereas that information would have been fed into the ministry, because the ministry then they would have come up with a program ready to render assistance to businesses that were affected, the COVID Relief Fund, and particularly from the trust loan point of view, we implemented a program called the Relief Program, whereas we would have assessed businesses based on the impact and the payments too, because business was out of service and persons would have racked up arrears. So we were in a position to implement a relief program whereas we restructured loans for certain persons and we put them in a current position really to actually move around through COVID. Having that program, the relief program, and really monitoring, some persons would have gotten back on track. And it would have really been, we really relied on it was a twofold situation, putting persons back on track from the trust loan point of view, but also relying on things in the macroeconomic, from a macroeconomic point of view, how the economy in Barbados was performing would have assisted some sectors with getting back on track normally. So we are constantly looking at ways to see how we can really improve the performance of the portfolio. And as Nico said, this particular project is dealing with manufacturers and all. We really want to help all manufacturers really get out there, not only in the local market. And they've been doing things in the past, not being perfect, but we want to really put them in a position where as they can be doing best practices. Now, part of this program, the manufacturing program, is going to be a collaboration. Not only the trust fund, is a partnership between Export Barbados, BIDC, and we would have brought on board the Barbados National Standards Institute, who would come in and sensitize on the particular standards and the labels and so on. And yes, the Government Analytical Services, we brought on board the Barbados Manufacturers Association. And as we build up the project, we're going to bring some relevant stakeholders who can really contribute to the success of this program. But this is the pilot program, but we are looking to take this program. This is going to be a built-in program within the Barbados Trust Fund, because as we graduate this 105 players, we are going to bring in another one. We are going to bring in some others and really try to develop the manufacturing sector in Barbados.
All right, quite a mouthful, a lot to digest, but part of that partnership is also working along with us, so we certainly will be working with you to get that information out. Nicole, final word for you. How can people get involved so that they can take part in these upcoming sessions?
Well, initially, the Barbados Trust Fund had actually selected most of the clients in-house, but we had an outcry from the public, and as a result of that, we are actually extending the opportunity for 10 entrepreneurs who have manufacturing businesses to participate in this challenge as well, to grow their businesses along with all of the others from strength to strength. At the end of the program, actually, we're actually also going to have an expo so that entrepreneurs can showcase their products and services to businesses, to restaurants, distributors, hoteliers, to sell, to see whether or not we can get some of their products listed in across the island. Additionally, we're going to expose them to Barbados as well, so that Barbadians can see how far they've come and be proud. And from there, the entrepreneurs will actually also be competing against each other and showcasing their works at judging panel to then be selected for additional accelerated development towards export. So the program is quite large.
All right, wonderful to see you again, Nicole. Thank you so much, Kirk and Brianna. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Okay, you too. Have a great day.
Absolutely, and you've been seeing all of the social media handles where you can find out more about the Barbados Trust Fund Limited on Instagram, Trust Loans Barbados, on YouTube, Trust Loans Barbados, or you can WhatsApp 228-3275. Headline News is coming up next.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadians.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, I'm Tisha Hines with Headline News. Prime Minister Mia Motley will be leading a Barbados delegation to a trade, investment and tourism forum early next month in Rwanda. The mission is expected to help further develop the relationship between Barbados and that nation, building on the agreement signed in April of 2022 during the visit to Barbados by the president of that country. The forum, slated for November 8th and 9th, will form part of an exploratory business mission to Rwanda from November 5th to 12th and is expected to attract around 150 participants from the public and private sectors of both countries. Other partnering stakeholders include Export Barbados and the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc. Through the forum, the Barbados business community will be introduced to investment, trade and tourism opportunities that currently exist in Rwanda. The mission and two-day forum comes on the heels of the inaugural Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum 2022, hosted by the Government of Barbados and the African Export-Import Bank last month. Cardiovascular diseases have been identified as the major causes of morbidity and mortality in Barbados, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness will be looking at aggressive ways to reduce the sugar and salt contents of foods on the island. CBC's Shane Jones reports on yesterday's workshop at the Hilton Hotel that was aimed at creating strategies.
Many of the island's top health officials, including Chief Medical Officer Dr. the Most Honorable Kenneth George, were on hand for the opening ceremony of the two-day workshop at Needham's Point. The workshop will seek to raise awareness of the impact of salt and sugar on health, engage stakeholders to secure a gradual and sustained reduction of salt and sugar, promote a comprehensive policy approach to facilitate dietary changes, and engage the relevant parties to focus on stocking low salt and sugar options on branded processed foods. Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Sonia Brown, said non-communicable diseases are the leading causes of preventable morbidity, related disability, and premature death in Barbados.
There are 4 groups of these diseases. Cardiovascular diseases, which include, among others, hypertension, heart attack, strokes, peripheral vascular diseases, Cancers, breast, prostate, colon, cervical being the main causes of cancer in our public health setting. Chronic respiratory diseases, example asthma, and chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, and diabetes mellitus. And these have 4 common risk factors: tobacco use, harmful use of alcohol, physical inactivity, and unhealthy diets.
Regarding front of package labeling, which is essentially a warning label used to assist customers in making healthier choices, Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Business Development, Sandra Husbands, said it's urgently needed.
So we must therefore work with stakeholders who manufacture products as well as importers of goods to transition smoothly to use and comply with front of package labeling. Too many companies are playing the short game by resisting the change to the labeling. Because to kill your customers in the long term really is not good business.
PAHO WHO representative to Barbados in the Eastern Caribbean, Dr. Amalia Del Riego, says NCDs are devastating the region.
There are an estimated 200 million people out of 1 billion in the Americas who are living with NCDs. In the Caribbean, 3 out of 4 people die from NCDs. Close to 40% of those deaths are premature. That means in the age group from 30 to 70 years old. The trend in Barbados is like the rest of the Caribbean, where NCDs are the leading causes of death. It is very clear with these figures that NCDs are overwhelming health services and challenging their sustainability in Caribbean countries while impeding progress toward universal health.
Management of the Sanitation Services Authority has deemed yesterday's work stoppage a wildcat strike. Operations Manager Michael Nichols at the head office at Wilde said workers refused to take up their assignments at various levels.
The strike this morning was wildcat in nature, and based on information shared by the worker representative, was triggered by the transfer of an employee and the disconnection of a prohibited stove. All approved amenities such as microwave and refrigerator remain available. This is very disappointing in that recently the worker representative met with the chairman and management on a number of real matters that they had raised in a letter of June to an agreement coming out of that meeting as to which issues were supported and advanced.
The National Union of Public Workers responded to the situation, with General Secretary Richard Green informing CBC News they realized that there was indeed a transfer and the removal of an appliance. He tells CBC some of the other unresolved matters are hazard pay, washing allowance, salary increases, uniforms, appointments, care of duty, and processing of leave. He says the NUPW has engaged management on how the issues could be resolved.
Workers had also taken the opportunity to raise their concern with the speed and the time that it was taking to resolve a number of other outstanding matters plaguing the institution for some time. It is intended that the NUPW would have advised the workers of the process that they were following to have the matters resolved, and had advised them to go back to work, allowing the union the time to resolve those matters with the management of the Sanitation Service Authority.
And that's news. We'll be back with fitness and a little fun, as well as real estate news after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those
Morning, good morning, good morning to you.
All right, so 12 minutes after 7 o'clock. Good to have you with us on this wonderful Tuesday morning. What are you doing? Are you getting ready? Have to roll those shoulders. Get ready for the morning. You know, the day ahead, that means unscramble. That's right. So it's time for you to jump in the lane and let me know if you understand what is going on here. Now, I have some authentically Bajan places for you. Unscramble is the name of the game, and you get to play by calling 228-5562 or 228-5563. Yeah, we just want to get those brains going for school, for work, you know, get you moving for the day. Where is this place? And if you live there and you don't know what it is, shame on us, because we made it that difficult. But call me up, and if you think you know where this place is, let us know. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Come on in. And again, I want to hear from the people in the country. We were in St. Thomas last Friday, so we came to visit you. We were in St. Peter the Friday before, and this coming Friday, we're going to be in St. Michael. But we really want to hear from those of you in the countryside. I was in St. Joseph over the weekend. Long story, can't tell you about that. But definitely moving around the country. So we'd like you to come on in and see if you can unscramble this particular place. No, it is not something to eat. I know when you look at it initially, you see a word that might relate to something to eat, but that's not what it is, all right? The guys in the back are killing me with the sound effects. They always do that to me because they think I'm extremely corny. I don't know. So I really don't know what clue to give you about where this place is, because I'm not sure I know where this place is. I've definitely heard about it, but I'm not sure where it is. So you're going to have to school me on exactly where this place is as well. So we're playing a game of Unscramble. Of course, we are mixing it up for you in a number of ways. We missed it for a few days, but it's good to have you back with Unscramble so that you can come on in and tell us about these places all across Barbados, and we can connect and get these brain cells going, get moving as we prepare for the day, the little ones heading out to primary school and the older ones heading out to secondary school, and of course for you heading off to work. I don't know about you, but someone asked me yesterday, a colleague, about the 2 all-girls primary schools in Barbados. And I was at a loss. I was like, okay, Christchurch girls, and what was the other one? And then we figured out it was Hinesbury. So good morning to the 2 only all-girls schools in Barbados. I don't think I ever realized that Hinesbury was an all-girls school. How about that? Time is moving on. It's 15 minutes after 7 o'clock. So hurry it up. Get to your phone lines and let me know what the place is. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Where are you calling me from?
St. George.
St. George. This sounds like a familiar voice.
Yes, it is.
Good morning, Mr. St. George, then. All right. Can you tell me where the place is?
That looks like Astoria and Darrell, St. George, where the BBS with the station located.
It is Astoria. You just told me precisely where it is, and I still have no clue where it is.
That's like definitely near the Bourne Village.
Okay, so you said it's in St. George?
Yeah, near
where in St. George?
Near Bourne Village.
Near Bourne's Village. I'm still lost. There's also an Astoria in St. Michael, I'm told.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. But we're lost. If somebody just says Astoria, I might end up in St. Michael. You might end up in St. George. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your plans for today?
Nothing. Just relaxing.
Nothing. You are lucky. Have a good day. All right.
Thank you.
Don't get into any trouble.
No.
Okay. All right. This one is way too easy. I know it's a lot of letters. Let me just peek through these specs here a minute. Yeah. Yeah, but definitely. This one is an easy one, I think. Yeah, so call us up if you think you know. Unscramble this Bajan place and let us know. And for those of you who are in that area or in the region of that today, a special good morning to you, especially if you're making your way into a certain place. I know I'm pointing in maybe a wrong direction, but you know exactly what I mean. 228-5562 or 228-5563. I have somebody on my phone line. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Where are you calling me from?
St. Michael's Pine.
In the Pine. So my neighbor. What's your name?
Yeah, Marlene.
Pardon?
Marlene.
Marlene, good morning.
Good morning.
You had a cup of tea already?
Of course I had my cup of tea. I can't do it without it.
Yes? What type of tea do you like?
Lipton's Yellow Label. I advertise, I know.
Absolutely. Listen, that's not a Bajan staple, so I don't think we could charge them even if we wanted to. Marlene.
Yeah?
Where are we going with this Unscramble right here? Where is this?
Constitution River.
Oh, you are right, the Constitution River. And isn't it just looking really, really beautiful these days, the way it's been renovated and upgraded? It's very, very beautiful. So congrats to the ministry that got it done, the people who worked on it. Thank you. And Marlene, you have a great day. Do you have any plans for today?
Not really. I'm relaxing. I retired.
Wait, everybody relaxing and they have me working? That's not fair.
Your time is not yet.
All right, you have a great one relaxing, okay? All right, good stuff. Are we going to do one more, people? Just one more. Where is this? It looks like a man. A man. Okay, it's a man's name. Okay, I'm corny. But one more Unscramble before we move on. Those brains are working today. You guys know where these places are, and you definitely are getting in here. You guys are out of order with these sound effects because they don't go with anything. All right, so where is this place? And contrary to what my team might be telling you, there are no crickets chirping in the background if you go to this place. All right? So tell me, if you can, call me 228-5562 or 228-5563 and unscramble these letters. Tell me where this Bajan place is. Good morning. Somebody is here.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Is it Dalkeith in St. Michael?
Dalkeith. This one was really easy. What's your name?
Yvonne.
Yvonne, where are you calling me from?
From Bournesville, St. George.
Bournesville. The guy just told me that Astoria is close to Bournes Village.
Yes, and that's the house that's crossed by BBS. You know the BBS radio station?
Yes.
That's where the houses are, those houses over there.
On the left side, if you're heading up.
Yes, that's where Astoria.
I know where I am.
Right. He should have told you the radio station.
He didn't give good directions, but you gave me good directions. So I'm lucky that you called.
Right.
Yes? Thank you. Dalkeith is indeed the place we're talking about in that particular one. And what are your plans for today?
Going to work.
Like me.
Yes, I am.
Some of us have to work for our keep.
It's true, but I
don't
enjoy
get to relax. Absolutely.
Okay,
so do
have a great day.
Have a great day as well. Sending love. All right, good stuff. The brains are moving. We've worked the shoulders, and we are ready to get into a little fitness. That and a whole lot more coming up on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning.
is no place like home. But over the past year, home has taken on an especially significant meaning for most. At times, staying at home may be limiting, but it doesn't need to be boring. If you're someone who is great at the DIY life and you've made your home a haven for creating and making new things, this is the show for you. Send us an email at morningbarbados@cbc.bb and share how you've been making it from home.
Come on, you got me make some noise. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Now, you often hear about the dance troupe Rhythm Tribe. Quite recently, they performed a very fitting piece at the tribute service for the late Robert Bobby Clark, dancing to Redemption Song by Robert Nesta Marley, and their movements just wowed the Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honourable Mia Mottley, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honourable Ralph Gonzalez, and indeed everyone who was present. And we really wanted to share that with you to show how much our dancers are doing all across the region.
Old pirates, yes, they rabbi, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Oh, have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop at the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Yes, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs. All I ever had, redemption songs. Songs of freedom, songs of freedom,
morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Come on, you family, make some noise. Are you ready?
Q in the Community is on every Thursday in a community near you.
Q in the Community is well and alive.
Come on down and, have a line with all of me. The more mature folk come to dance, to sing.
Scrape the bones smooth.
Q in the Community is your place to meet friends, to socialize, and just to be you.
Yes, come on down and take in the karaoke.
Whether you're coming from north, south, east, or west, we have a bus for you.
Q in the Community.
Stay tuned to Q100.7 FM to find out where we will be next, and follow us on Facebook.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up.
Morning Barbados will be coming to your parish live every Friday until November. Stay tuned from 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. to see which parish we're in. Join us for it all.
Good morning, morning Barbados, good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up, morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you.
It's a beautiful Tuesday on October 18th. Already, we're already close to the end of the year. And we have to go right ahead and say good morning to the lady, Sharita, who is in. We're talking real estate again today. And she's taking us down a rabbit hole today. We are talking something that we could go on and on about for a lifetime. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Can't complain.
All right, good stuff. So today we are looking at how to avoid, not my words, being ripped off. Disclaimer, place disclaimer here. How to avoid being ripped off by a contractor. There are so many people gunning for us right now, but I'll leave it all to you, Sharita.
Well, I'll start off by saying the majority of contractors in Barbados are good and professional and try to abide by some.
Let me see your hands. Are your fingers crossed?
No, I gotta be honest, because sadly the good contractors often get lumped in with the bad, so I need to put that out there first and foremost. There are good contractors out there who are professional. However, it just takes a couple rotten apples to make it bad for the entire industry, and sadly that is what happened. So I need that when you are about to build your property, you do a couple things and pay attention. Otherwise, you might hear that Bob the Builder ran off with your coins. So that's what I'm here to tell you about.
Yeah, a good place to start really is by doing your homework. And that's really, really important.
Yes, remember that building property is not like buying a pair of shoes. You can risk it with a $70 pair of shoes, but when you're putting out thousands upon thousands, some of it your life savings, borrowings, earnings to build, you need to do your due diligence first and foremost. So if someone refers a person to you, that's a good step, because at least it says that they trust that person, they have had interaction with that contractor, and they were okay. But above and beyond that, now you have to do your homework. Don't be afraid to ask for references. You might give me the numbers of 2 or 3 people that you did work for, and some of those people will tell you, listen, come and see what you do for me, so that you can go and see the quality and caliber of the work, get some feedback from others, and check around within the industry. Barbados is small. All you have to say is Bob Bobby, and you hear people say, nah, man, left you out. So ask around. Don't be afraid to check up on the candidate that you are going to have taking on a major project. So that's number one, first and foremost.
That's right. It's very important that you vet and verify. Like you said, you definitely need to follow up. And, Bajans are like that. So people will tell you, yes, you can come see the work. He did good work and stuff like that. So you definitely need to vet the people that you're going to be working with and verify exactly where they will be going. with the project. It is also very important that people negotiate the contracts. So you want to be absolutely clear on what you are expecting from this contractor and what they're expecting from you.
Indeed. So next up, you make sure that if you invited one or two persons to give quotes on, developing the property, do not just proceed with you this figure low. He only charging 30,000. All them going with 100. I going with him. No. There's a reason he submitted a low ball. He's trying to get this work at all costs because sometimes his other work might not be able to stand up and speak for itself. It also means he may not have been as thorough with his costings as some of the others. So do not necessarily rush for the lowball offer. Now, pertaining to what you said about the contract, feel free to ask for a specific sit-down meeting where you are just dealing with contract details. So talk me through, payments start when? Okay, they're due next when? All right, what are the materials you're using? So you're importing them. Do you have them here? Good. Are you bringing 6 men onto the site or 12? Get a thorough feeling and impression as to what is going to be going on around your project. Nothing wrong with having a meeting just for the contract only. So you have to start off with these things up front.
That's right. And, from experience, I can tell you that working in a timeline for the work and a payment schedule, those are top of the table when you're doing these types of things. You definitely want to know when you will get the work done. You don't want to have your project in limbo. Most certainly none of us do. So sometimes you can end up there if you don't work on some timelines and maybe build in some penalties so that, the contractor will want to get the project done.
Correct. Also, I would recommend that run when you hear that they want a high percentage of the price up front. You know what that means? That means that they're not necessarily going to deliver. Even if they don't deliver, they have enough money to go down to Zimbabwe and live happily. So be careful of high percentage requests at the start of the project. You just have to ask around and get a general sense of what the norm is in terms of down payment to get the process rolling. It might be 10, it might be 20, 30%. Check first within the industry just to confirm. But if that person is telling you, I need half up front because I have to buy materials, etc., no, keep rolling because that money, they can't account for that money. Also, when you are going through the meeting with them, get a sense of the materials that they're using. Be wary too if they're offering to, I got some material left over from such and such that I could use to save you some money. That's a red flag because if they have material left over, it means that they did not work out their figures for the previous project. They may have over-ordered. So what are they going to do for you if they have that material too that just happened to fall off the truck? So be a little cautious when they're offering their help in that form of getting you some material, extra material, because it might be second rate, it might be subpar, it might be stolen, it might be from another project. You don't know. So be wary of that.
Absolutely. And is there anything that you should never tell a contractor that might give them, the wrong impression about you or what have you? Because it's a two-way relationship. So there might be some things that you definitely do not want to say or do in your negotiations when you're preparing to decide who will work on this project with you.
Never say the words, I trust you. Never, ever you believe it. No. If ever they want to make changes along the way, even in terms of materials and so forth, they have to share that information with you. Be wary too if all of a sudden after the contract you hear, well, we're going to make a little adjustment because, the prices increased. So now I gonna need a little bit more money. What you do in that contract too is make sure that you sign off saying whatever prices they have quoted are relevant for the next, whether it's 60 days, 90 days, whatever, so that there isn't a lot of shifting throughout the life of the project. Be wary too of additional enhancements. Sometimes what they do, the quote that they might give you might be very basic, but all of a sudden they then tell you, oh, but remember the bathroom, that no, we're here, what we agree on, they account for the shower stall, remember? So make sure everything is detailed and thorough so that they don't jump on you with these additional surprises, these additional payment requests, and so forth. Now, one thing I would say is during the life of the project, pay attention to any mumblings and grumblings from the subcontractor. If you're hearing from painter man, I ain't get paid for 2 weeks, this bare ignorance. What is going on with your money? Ask questions. Ask questions. And don't be afraid if all else fails to pay out the contractor for the work done today and switch, because you don't want to be left holding the bag.
Absolutely. I mean, these are all some really relevant points. The point you made about the change orders, very important. I have a friend who ended up with almost $100,000 in change orders that he didn't even know happened. And you know, and then you can be held to ransom to pay them as you move forward. That's right. So what about, and for me, I think this could be a bone of contention. Some people say that you should, some people say you shouldn't. Telling the contractor what your budget is.
Well, the reality is, I think it all boils down to contract and documentation. Because you have to be realistic. If you don't give them a guideline, they will go till kingdom come. So you can set limits and limitations and make sure the contract details that. They don't have to know that you have $300,000 more in your pocket, but you could come out and say, look, I want to build a property that is $250,000. Let us sit down and work out together the materials, labor, and so forth that would be involved in that. That is what I want for the project. Any overruns, such as could be at you. But you have to detail limitations. Otherwise, you are setting yourself up. I would say also document every single thing. So from the contract details, yes, you make sure you have your signatures showing that we have mutually agreed on such and such. When it comes to time to do stage payments, because the floor is now in place and the whatever is in place, don't be afraid to take a picture, and we're signing next to the picture saying we have agreed that the floor is in place, etc., etc. Because it stops them from coming back to and saying, but I didn't finish this, or I didn't such and such. Also, when you're walking around, look at the materials used, ask questions. Remember in the contract, they told you that you're going to need 1/4 inch of plywood for this, that, and the other. How come you're only now seeing a slither, 1/8 of an inch? What happened to the other 1/8, right? And last but not least, you have to be present or have a representative present. I know of persons who have taken on the brave, daunting task of building well overseas, being sent photos, and come back and found a mound of dirt. You have to be present. You have to be popping out to your workplace and just showing up randomly to see what is going on, or if you're overseas, send someone on your behalf.
Absolutely. I've heard quite a few stories about the mounds of dirt as well. Quite sad. You know, and like you said, pictures, progress reports, receipts, receipts with no real receipts.
Or receipts from a previous job, and they're not taking the picture of the date, and you think stuff is happening.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. Back to the payment schedule, though, quickly as we wrap up. Should you pay before the job is done? Because some people want you to pay just before. They say, okay, I want to finish up and this and that, or always after.
Now, once again, I'm not grouping all of them into the same category, but it's very commonplace for most contractors to believe that once they have received payment, the job is officially done. Try asking them to come back and adjust something after you've handed off that check. No. So it's almost an unwritten kind of verbal agreement that we have reached completion. Do not hand over the final check unless you are satisfied with all the work done. Okay? Don't do it.
And that certainly is a good place to end today's presentation. And I think you've given us all the tips on what we need to look out for so that we are not, your words, not mine, ripped off.
Bamboozled.
Tomfoolery. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for your time.
You too. Take care.
All right. We're going to take another break and come back. We are getting into table fitness. Doesn't sound right, but I'll qualify that for you when we come back with Thornwood.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for our new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
When disaster threatens, it is comforting to know there's a team working to deliver credible.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
17 minutes now before 8 o'clock. Just a few minutes left, but I've been kind of joking with you all morning about moving and stuff like that. A lot of us live sedentary lives, meaning we are kind of sitting around all day. You're at the table or you are at a desk at work, and you're not moving that body the way you need to move it. So it's very important that you get your body moving. We're joined now by fitness coach, gymnastic coach, personal trainer, dancer, and a whole host of other titles. Thornwood, who is our resident fitness body. Good morning, Thorn.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing great, man. I had a wonderful weekend. It was very nice, very chill. Some movement. I had a great workout last night. Like the week start good. The week start good.
Oh, put away those guns. It's too early in the morning.
So this morning we're talking about movement, right?
Yes.
And you know, what I like to tell people, especially who have like, we more or less can call them sedentary jobs. You know, you wake up in the morning. I was actually talking to someone about this last night, where you know, you wake up in the morning, you go to work, let's say for 8 hours or some people 10 hours. You spend the entire day sitting. You leave work, you sit down in your car. So you sit down in your car on your way to work. You sit down at work, you get out your car, you sit down again to go home, and then you sit down at home because you're tired. Right? So throughout the entire day, there's no movement happening and that kind of stuff. So what we want to do is encourage people this morning that if you are at work, you know, maybe spend a little 5 minute, 2 minute, get up, walk around your desk, do a couple squats, rotate your shoulders, neck rotation, loosen up the body, encourage movement.
Please, yeah. Okay, let's try it. Let's do it together so people see, because we can't assume that people know exactly what to do. So let's try it. So shoulder rotation.
So it's super simple. It's super simple.
So we're sitting at the desk at work, and
so
all of a sudden, oh wow, the neck doesn't feel all the way there. So what are we doing?
So we were just doing a couple neck rotations, rotate around, all right? Shoulder rotations, we go back, forward, and then the general idea would be to get up and leave your desk.
Okay.
All right? Don't spend the entire day sitting, and I know it's super easy, especially if you're sitting at the computer, you're doing something administrative, and papers keep coming in and that kind of stuff. Especially when it comes to lunch, maybe take a walk on your lunch break. Go somewhere, maybe if you can step outside of the office, maybe there's some stairs in the office, but I know sometimes people like to go to lunch, and then when you go to lunch and you eat, you spend that extra time just sitting just eating, and the whole day goes by and you would just spend the entire day sitting.
Yeah, well, I have a life in radio, and what we did a few years ago here at CBC is we kind of moved the desk up so that you don't have to sit to work.
Right.
So, if I'm on radio, I spend a lot of the time standing. And I know a lot of businesses across the world now are moving to that place. Ergonomics is the word.
Yeah.
And they're encouraging people to stand more. So you're not only sitting all day, you're also standing, so you have an opportunity to kind of, there's more movement if you're standing, more so than if you're sitting. What can that do for the body?
So you don't want to spend the entire day just standing in one place as well. So to all those people who are working, I used to, fun fact, I used to be a chef as well, so I know there's some people who will spend a long time standing, you end up with varicose veins and that kind of stuff because of pressure in the feet. The idea is movement.
Mix
so obviously
it up.
if you're, mix it up. Obviously if you're standing, you're more likely to move around your desk or your surrounding area, and obviously with movement there's an increase in blood flow and that kind of stuff, and that's generally what you want to encourage. You want to encourage movement rather than sitting the entire time.
All right, absolutely. And, just a little movement in your shoulders and your neck that can be the one thing to give you that little rejuvenation in your day. So very, very interesting. I also like to shrug my shoulders.
You like to shrug your
shoulders? But I don't just do that for exercise. I do that when people ask me questions.
So as we were talking about movement and walking around, that brings me to speak about the app that we are developing.
Fit-ish.
Yes,
is what it's called. Fit-ish.
So whether fitness is your thing or you're kind of fit, then this is definitely the app for you. For the next couple of weeks, we're partnering with a local virtual reality gaming company to do some pop-ups. So we may be coming to some place close to you. We might come at CBC. You never know.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a deal. Just let me know so that I can dress for the occasion.
Dress for the now we want to catch people off guard.
So I can at least try to look fit-ish. But you can download it from the app stores and stuff like that.
So no, we have not officially released the app as yet.
Okay.
What we're doing is the pop-ups first, along with a survey. So the survey helps us and gives us some information to customize it a bit to the local populace of Barbados. So we obviously, our end goal is obviously to encourage movement all around, but we want to make something that the Barbadian public can relate to and that they can ultimately enjoy as well.
Tell us more about these pop-ups. I understand that you're partnering with a company that is offering some VR, virtual reality.
Definitely. So the virtual reality is obviously going to be fitness-based. You can have some boxing. I know some people, if they're familiar with I actually can't remember what it is called, but it's a game where you have things coming at you. You kind of have to slice them. It's actually really fun. We're going to be going to gyms. We may pop up in your local supermarket. And it's just going to be... We're just overall just trying to encourage movement from all aspects. So everything is, as we know, is going virtual. So, fitness can take that as well. And then we can spread it across the island and get more and more people involved.
Talk to me more about these pop-ups. You said you might pop up in the supermarket. Is this strictly a fat gathering mission, or will you be looking to show us how we can use these carts going through the supermarket to get in a little exercise? Who knows?
In lieu of not trying to let too much out of the bag, I will guarantee that it will be very interesting. Each pop-up will have, so in order for you to do the virtual reality, you will have to fill out the survey, but each pop-up will have a very specific fitness challenge that you will have to do. So I'm laughing because there are a lot of fun ideas that the team came up with very recently, and I'm just going to say, just come prepared. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind to come prepared.
Yeah, how do you move away from getting the people who are indeed fit-ish, or those people who are fitness buffs, to be the one to come out all the time and get some new blood, some new people to come out who really are the people that we want to come out to these pop-ups and get involved with the app and share the information and move a bit more?
Yeah, so the thing about fitness is that it is spread across all spectrums of fitness. So we want to create something essentially that if you are the average gym goer, or if you are an elite athlete, that it is something that you can participate in. Hence us trying to do the survey initially, the statistics, to figure out, how many people do we know that are elite athletes, or how many people do we know are just your average gym goers, or how many people just, want to get a neat waist for Cup over 2023. So we just trying to, it's a very wide demographic of people that can participate on the app, especially when it comes to the challenges that we're going to be doing. So one challenge could be as simple as maybe walking a couple steps and accumulating some points, where another could be, let's see who has the best clean and press, or let's see who can bench press the most. Yeah?
About here this time of the morning talking about a clean and press. Clean and press. We're talking about pressing some clothes, getting out of the house. Yeah, but we definitely have to get out, and it's good when we can encourage people and let people know that we're meeting them where they are. That's so important, because sometimes, for those of us who backslide, it feels like, where do I start? And it's good that you're meeting people where they are, so everybody feels welcome. Exactly. We're not leaving anybody out. Our goal is to change the narrative of Barbados and, limit how many people are, getting NCDs and that kind of stuff, and really encourage movement. Like, my dream for this in the next maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 20 years is to have this as like an overall fitness nation where, exercise just becomes part of the culture. You know what I mean? People get up, they go for their runs. I mean, we see it happening in smaller ways. People are now getting up and walking around, and I think that's absolutely wonderful and brilliant, but I want to see that en masse. I would love to see the whole island on that movement and just living overall, better, healthier quality of life. All right, so tell you what, remind us of where the pop-ups will be so that we can prepare ourselves. Girls, we got to prepare our outfits. Well, we will officially... Gym is important, the working out part of it, but looking the part is more important, or equally as important. So we're still putting together the list. I will officially let the public know where and when these pop-ups will be, but be sure to know that we will be touching all parts of the island. So if you live in St. Farlap, or you live in North Point behind God's back, we can be there for you. We will be there for you so that everybody can enjoy and get in on the energy that is fitness and wellness. All right, now according to the World Population Review, the healthiest countries in the world have been named, and Barbados is nowhere to be found. Yeah, we're looking to beat that. We're looking to beat that. We're looking to beat that. I heard you say, we can look to be in another few years, one of the healthiest countries or one of the fittest countries. How about that? So the top 25 healthiest countries have been named, and Bloomberg Global Health, they say Spain is the number one at 92.75% of people being fit. Italy, number 2, 91.5. Iceland, 91.4, and they shouldn't be moving. It's cold. It's cold. They should be indoors. We have the sunshine. And Japan is number 4, 91.38. I want to thank you for your time, Thornwood. Always good to see you. Likewise. And wish you the best with that, the pop-ups and the apps. And we definitely will stay on top of that. Have a great week. You too. Bye-bye. And you make sure that you keep moving, okay? Get back on the train if you need to. When we come back, we wrap up today's edition of Morning Barbados. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Come on, you family, make some noise. Are you ready?
Q in the Community is on every Thursday in a community near you.
Q in the Community is well and alive.
Come on down and, have a line with all of me. The more mature folk come to dance, to sing.
Keep the bones smooth.
Q in the Community is your place to meet friends, to socialize, and just to be you.
Yes, come on down and take in the karaoke.
Whether you're coming from north, south, east, or west, we have a bus for you.
Q in the Community.
Stay tuned to Q100.7 FM to find out where we will be next, and follow us on Facebook.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up.
Morning Barbados will be coming to your parish live every Friday until November. Stay tuned from 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. to see which...
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Well, some sweet things for you to take into the day today. Today is known as National Chocolate Cupcake Day. Who knew? So if you're going to be sharing chocolate cupcakes, there are some people here who love chocolate cupcakes that you can share with them. Not me. Not me. Okay. It is also National No Beard Day. So for all the fellas who show off their beards, today belongs to the fellas who don't have beards. And tomorrow, quite possibly, we might be able to take a poll to see which one the ladies like more, beard or no beard. I don't know, we'll see. But coming up tomorrow for sure, we're going to have her map in with Nicholas Roberts, the Vice President, talking to us about human resources matters. Dr. Barker will be talking about postmenopausal bleeding. We're going to meet some athletes who completed the Huntsman World Senior Games in Utah. And we are walking in wholeness with Barbados Inc. What is it about? Well, you find out tomorrow. Also, we are going to be telling you about how we'll be heading out to another part of St. Michael for our Friday on the Move action here on Morning Barbados. So thanks for joining us today. I wish you a wonderful day. And don't forget to wear your smiles. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up.
Morning Barbados will be coming to your parish live every Friday until November. Stay tuned from 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. to see which parish we're in. Join us for it all.
Good morning.